Actually on the Rainer this game. Caterpillar on the Arthas Vin, moving over to that Tassadar. And June will be on the support with Tyrande. That is Tempo Storm.
And in the red here, we're going to have Miracle, where Sniper will be on the Maiev. Frankel representing on the Hanzo. Sonya, played by Nacho Jin. Blue Beetle on his legendary Deckard Cain. And Judy on his equally as legendary Garrosh. These two very much, I feel like, staple heroes when I think of these two players. They are on the Deckard Cain and the Garrosh for Blue Beetle and Judy.
Well, Dread, let's just talk about this right out of the gate. I think the analysis panel hit this. They're like, well, Fan loves to be aggressive on Tassadar. Vin's been on Rainer so much. But they're switching it up here. This is a very different feel. Maybe some changes in the middle of this, as it's traditionally been that way with Fan on that Tassadar. So a change up right out of the gate for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, and I automatically have got to wonder, you know, is Vin going to be able to handle some of the pressure that we get out of the Sonya? Because that's actually a really good matchup in favor of the Sonya more often than not, because of her ability to threaten the dimensional shift, dimensional warp out from that Tassadar. And you really can't have that in these type of situations. Yes, Illidan is probably going to be the main target for the Sonya, but just being able to threaten that and then reinitiate is probably going to be a go-to strategy here for Miracle throughout this game.
It's going to be an interesting one to see how aggressive Glaurung is in these team fights, because he's got so much facing him with that Maiev, the Garrosh, and the Sonya. We'll see exactly how that goes. I really want to see, because the first Shrine Dreadnought will be in that bottom lane. You can expect Tempo Storm, as the other side will, play around those camps up at the top, the Shaman camp. See if you can get some of that play around that and ignore that. But this is a very aggressive start here for Miracle. They're just walking down Tempo Storm right now.
Yeah, and able to get a lot of threat there, though Tempo Storm did end up picking up the camp itself. And I want to raise some of the kind of concerns already a minute and a half into this game. Illidan is absolutely getting dominated in that lane, but that's expected. That's the matchup. There is no skill, there is no nothing that is going to be able to change the outcome. But the fact that Miracle is picking up camps faster within the 4, and they're threatening on multiple objectives. Right now, every single lane Miracle is in control of over Tempo Storm.
Yeah, we saw in that picture is that one tower already fell. Now it's not a lot of experience, but it's just overall control. When you do finally get to those lanes, it makes it easier to push some of that down. Vin being targeted there, nice slow and root potential set up by Blue Beetle, but when you're not winning that lane, you can't get that double soak rotation in with an Illidan that early, and it's something Tempo Storm will do to maybe look for an invade or a defense of an invade. And so far, they've just kind of been playing very cautious, very passive, and they've been forced that way because of the way Miracle has come out in this game.
Tempo will be able to sniff out the Sentinel here, though. Be able to realize that the Shaman camp is picked up, mirrored on their half as well, with 25 seconds out from the next shrine, the very first shrine of this game. And one thing I do want to point out is when looking at Miracle, I'm expecting us to move into the Emerald. They are one of the best teams to use Emerald to get the healing debuff and one-shot a target. And a hero that is very, very susceptible to that, Arthas. He is going to very predictably pop Army of the Dead, try and rely on that healing, and 75% reduction. If Miracle can get that focus fire, Tempo Storm has got a lot of concerns. Not going to be here yet, but we'll see how this moves as we have this shrine spawn.
Well, you mentioned healing. We actually see Deathlord picked up at level 4. It doesn't mean you have to use it for healing purposes, but you get the cooldown reduction on your Death Coil, and you increase its range. Say maybe Illidan goes hunt in that later game. The Hanzo or the Deckard can be a priority target. Maybe try and get some extra range, get some damage in on that, but it also can help contribute for the sustain style. We'll see how that goes, as that tribute being focused on by Miracle, while Tempo Storm had their attention in the top Dreadnought. Hasn't paid off very well yet.
I do think that this was the safer choice, though, for Tempo Storm, considering the compositions, because Sonya has to be the individual to move over towards the shrine itself. They can't go with that equal match, because Sonya has in a laning mismatch, right? The Illidan can't go in the off lane and do what he normally does in these situations. So I appreciate that they were willing to kind of give that up, let the Sonya solo cap, because the first objective typically is not going to gain too much in favor here of Miracle, as we see them try to get the siege. Nice Howling Blast out from Cattle, having to dodge the scroll ceiling. He wove Groundbreaker through, damage coming out, but Cattle with the heals actually surviving for now. Nacho Jin wastes no time with that into the fray, and they find first blood here on Caterpillar.
Well, they also have the rotation down. Sniper came in on that Maiev, cleared up that mid lane, said let's get the rotation down. It's a Korean special, whether it's the Immortals, whether it's the Punishers. The minute that starts to move, they take care of one lane, and then they dive directly behind that fort. And if that fort goes down, which they're fortunate enough to keep that alive, they already have a 1-level lead, does Miracle. But for Tempo Storm, had that fort fallen, it's early snowball potential. They avoided it for now, but they do have a lot of ground to make up here in the early game.
And I think for Tempo Storm, normally in this situation, you would go, you know, it's not going to be that detrimental, but I want to bring it back to the original laning circumstances we saw. Miracle was in control, and so now with Objective 1 going in favor of Miracle and the sieging capabilities going in favor of them, this downtime, they're going to be in control again, which is why we see this invade. Tempo has to adjust something here as they try to skirmish. Nice into the fray there from Judy.
Well, Frankel's under assault there. Glaurung found his way in, but Judy has been making the plays on the Garrosh, and now it's all hands on deck from both teams. We've got a skirmish over this, and Miracle, they're willing to fight right now. Glaurung on the backside, but you can see Sniper and team just living on this point right now, Dreadnought.
And the whole time, Frankel is actually getting the siege on bottom, trying to zone off Illidan, and he will do so. There we see the slow coming out from Blue Beetle. Cattle very low on mana. Scrollless Ceiling will be able to be dodged. Camp acquired here for Miracle. But Tempo Storm able to barely hold on in that skirmish.
This team for Tempo Storm will come on the later this game goes. Only 5 stacks on that level 1 for Arthas, 4 Glaurung on that Illidan. He's 15 out of 20. It's an infinite stacking quest, but you want to hit that 20 mark because that's when you get the extra bonus on the soft completion of that. So that will help him do some damage because on that backside, Decker's just like, here's a potion for you. Here's a potion for you. Garrosh can keep himself alive, the whirlwind of Sonya, so your resources don't have to be spread as thin, and you really need more of that power level to come online. Tassadar, Illidan, all late game heroes, Dreadnought.
They are a lot of the late game heroes, and now we see Miracle acquiring the 10. They throw out the Dragon's Arrow. It's not going to connect on to Vin, actually. They are on that Tassadar, a bit of a through the upright circumstance. Bold move, but that is honestly one of those very forgiving ones based on the stance that Miracle is in. That cooldown will be up about the exact same time that Tempo Storm hits their heroics. It was just a nice, clever attempt there to try and find a way to catch off Tempo Storm, but when looking at the heroics, everything is about what we would expect, except for Maiev, yet to commit here. Warden's Cage versus that Containment Disc.
Be interesting to see what route we go here, depending on what we pick. Level 10, nearing here for Tempo Storm. They're keeping Glaurung off in the solo lane. His retreat point is very, very far to safety here. See how safe he approaches this. We know we've seen him be very aggressive in lane, sometimes overcommitted. But 10 now picked up. Hunt will be the lock-in. Warden's Cage will be the response.
I was wondering if it would be the Containment Disc over the Warden's Cage, even though the Warden's Cage does bring the fight a lot better. Miracle, I think, have an amazing teamfight comp. Just purely on Illidan, when he doesn't have a full resources available, he is the significantly weaker hero. Hold on, though. Vin getting caught out with that Groundbreaker. That's a very early dimensional shift. That is something that Miracle likely will find a way to capitalize on here as we have the Shrine started. Illidan now just joining the rest of the ranks of Tempo. Hunt coming in onto Frankel. Not going to pack the punch they want. No dimensional warp, forcing out that Archon. Warlord's challenge is there, and look at that. Stay a while and listen.
That's unfortunate. You mentioned that early dimensional shift. The Archon comes out maybe a little earlier than they wanted. You get the reset on that dimensional shift, so that was forced out. Tempo Storm has spot space, but they've used a lot of resources to get their Dreadnought. A lot of those big cooldowns are there. But Tempo Storm starting to make moves onto the Shrine. They'll rotate out to a safer position as Miracle moves forward.
Yeah, Judy ends up hitting that Groundbreaker here. Warden's Cage still available for Sniper. Howling Blast going to connect, but there's the vault for the dodge. Sonya spinning to win their Nacho Jin, getting rid of that army of the dead. Sniper moves up, but Glaurung now dives onto the backline. Everybody kind of split all over, but Miracle, 25 skeletal defenders and counting.
Mounting up for Miracle. It looks like success will be achieved unless Tempo Storm has one more round to go. It looks like as 31 is near, they're willing to commit a little bit farther. Glaurung will get the shield, but there's going to be the toss, the taunt, and that's going to be the end of Glaurung. That's going to be a kill in this fight. Miracle will move forward, and Tempo Storm will just have to retreat. And without much in the way for defense, this could be another fort falling, and 13 achieved. Miracle could get aggressive here.
It's very important to note that, again, we have never seen the Warden's Cage pop here. Keep your eye on Sniper. If anybody on Tempo Storm, knowing that those heroics were used recently, oversteps at all, it is very likely that we see him pulling the trigger there to make sure he can secure 2 to 3 kills here over Tempo Storm. The 13 talents here will be picked up very, very soon as that top fort ends up falling and the siege continuing. The question is here, does Miracle want to go for the keep front wall or cycle that pressure towards mid lane and look for the later stages of this game?
We've seen different philosophies across different regions. I think you bring up an excellent point because while getting that keep wall down does give you some initial experience, it doesn't necessarily set you up for later game success other than just in the experience department. It looks like they are going to cycle out, get more of that experience through the mid lane, try and soften up. You get the fort down, that's a nice chunk of XP, but it also opens up if the next Punisher is mid. This is a prime position to be in to really start to capitalize in the later stages. situations of the game.
And one of the big reasons I love this play from Miracle is not only for that safer kind of standard looking towards the future minutes, but again, bringing it back to the laning phase. Tempo is yet to remain in control at any point of this game. When you remove that middle fort, that's a lot of vision control, and I feel like the last kind of pillar of hope, really, for Tempo Storm when it comes to controlling and understanding the laning situation. Now, because all 3 forts down, that line of scrimmage has moved so far to the left-hand side that it feels like the map is just blank, and the question is, where's Miracle? Are they around this shrub? Are they on this shrub? And I can tell you this much, you don't want to walk into the one where they are. You don't last too long there.
Yeah, the amount of plays that they can make around that, they have the vision with Hanzo. You can see Sniper constantly using that. He's the biggest threat when you look at this team. Just getting the dismount sometime, allowing for Garrosh to move forward. For Tempo Storm Dreadnought, they find themselves 2 levels behind, maybe too far behind the 8 ball here, because Tassadar has finished his Psystorm quest. You know he loves that Psionic Echo at 16 to really put out that damage. You got the bigger radius, you got the bonus damage. Illidan as well, stacked up, but are they too far behind to really get value out of those, because some of these fights are going to turn desperate soon?
I would like to say that I think that they have one more remaining team fight to get that power play with a 13 and a 15 window, but with how just unclose a lot of the skirmishes have been, I don't know if they have the opportunity. Cattle's going to get flipped over. Got a nice tether back there from Sniper, but it's an Arthas, not typically the guy you want to have that Frozen Tempest on to all the members of Miracle here. They decide to opt out here of this skirmish, knowing that Tempo Storm rounding that 13, this might be one of the only ways they can make their way back in. So safe play here from Miracle.
Yeah, we'll see if they do become aggressive. Dreadnought, you mentioned cycling out on that top Punisher to maybe get an advantage elsewhere. It will be the Shrine in that mid lane. So if Miracle does get that down, it's an easy run. And now you start to threaten not just keep walls, but keeps. And if you get kills and beyond that, it could be core. We'll see. Tempo Storm with that 13 to 15 fight though, Dreadnought. They're starting to move in. Fan being flipped in.
Lunar Flare goes down, but the hunt on the backline. Blue Beetle's in a bad spot, and he's actually going to go down. Tempo find their first kill, but it comes at the cost there of Fan. 1 for 1 so far. Cattle on the point, has a lot of HP there. Illidan going to dash back in. Nacho Jin falling very low, and Glorong actually trying to find the kill into the fray, saves his life. Judy flips it over, and Tempo Storm losing so many members. Frankel in the corner with that scatter arrow, just cleaning up shop.
If it's not for that scatter arrow, it seemed like some miscommunication. Glaurung dove on that back line. They got the initial kill, but they were so close to getting so much more on that point. Caterpillar held on for so long, and Tempo Storm didn't have the necessary focus. We're going to take another look at that, because you'll see the initial hunt in. It's great. It's everything that happens beyond this that you needed more from them.
Yeah, it's a really big point to bring up there. So much focus onto the objective itself when it came to Glaurung and when it came to Cattle and everything of the like here. But then look at Frankel on the back end. 2-man Dragons there, comes in with that Stormbolt. Sniper automatically adjusting the focus there. That's one of those situations where it's a great use of baiting your front line in order to convert your focus and dive onto the back line. All set up there by Frankel, a rising star not only within Korea, but at the international stage here at the HGC Finals.
For Miracle, they sit up 16 to 14 now. Nice scatter arrow there by Frankel. Ven is being punished. Frankel says, hold on, I might not be done yet. See if he gets another scatter arrow. Instead, he's going to rip it. There's going to be the end of the fray, and that is perfect execution to get another kill there. That is so well played, but you have to stay a while and listen, trying to get more. Glaurung trying to survive. They actually take down Hanzo, maybe an overcommitment. Now Judy trying to walk away. Glaurung staying on top of this. The healing potions coming in. Judy, though, starting to fall, but the root will keep Glaurung in, but Cattle helps track this down for another kill, Dread.
Warden's Cage used to be able to try and stop the retreat here, or stop the advance of Tempo Storm, and ends up bringing Cattle back for a moment. Sniper finding so many resets now on top of June. One more auto, and you will end up getting it. Now Cattle so very low. Glaurung finds a friend within him to be able to get away, but will Sniper let him escape? Tethered there, not going to pull it back. He will. Phantom Knives there. Nacho Jin finishes the job. 4 for 3. Tempo taking a risky scrap, but maybe pays off when looking at experience.
It is weird, right? Because you're like, all right, you lost the fight. But then you got to think about when you're down, Dreadnought, there is such a thing in Heroes called comeback experience. So every kill that you get, it favors the team that's down. You get more experience out of each of those kills. So now all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard. It was 13 to 15. Imagine, or 14 to 16. Imagine trying to defend this 15 to 16, 15 to 17.
Not going to happen.
Now you have that 16 talent tier available. It was a risk worth taking. You still have a lot more to go beyond that before that 20 tier, but that was a calculated risk there for Tempo.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the opportunity and being able to cite that and willing to take it here from Tempo Storm. But as you said, there's still more to be proven here. That was about probably one of the best silver linings we've gotten from them so far on Shrines. But here we see Mercenaries picked up, map painted red here, and a Frozen Punisher going to be joining Miracle here through the mid lane. There's a lot of follow-up initiation to this Punisher leap here, Jay. How sidewalls are very important. Getting a dodge here over the leap is very, very, very crucial for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, Kata will get the bait. They have a lot of damage potential to get this out. You can see the Psy Storms going down. The Immortal already down to 65%. The keep is still very much threatened, and Core is threatened if it snowballs out of control because the initiation tactics, Hyperion used in defense, Dread.
Leap in 3, therefore the objective itself comes through. Does anybody get a follow-up? No, it seems like Fort is going to be the focus. That Hyperion is actually scaring a lot of Miracle there. I thought for sure they would look for that heavy follow-up, but not wanting to take a risk. Lunar Flare stopping Judy there from getting a mount up. Now Nacho Jin questioning if he can get out for free. Fan trying to get some pepper, trying to get that slow scroll of ceiling. The hunt coming through. Glaurung now gonna get flipped over.
He's isolated, but there's going to be the stun coming in, or at least the lockdown. Glaurung still trying to track down. Frankel with another great scatter arrow, just chunking away some of these health bars. Tempo Storm, they're trying to commit, trying to force that, but Miracle playing safe, playing disciplined. That's a very good defense for Tempo Storm, Dread, that they saved the keep, but then you look up, 19 to 17. Miracle will be at 20 by the time the next Shrine phase starts, unless Tempo Storm is able to do something and do it soon. And right now, they're moving forward, maybe looking for a fight right here, but another phenomenal scatter arrow.
That was huge. Chunk and Fan there, even with his passive going off. Kato's going to try and contest here, knowing that the 20 is not quite there. Glaurung for now is the focus here of Miracle. Tonko's through. Glaurung, he's out of here. Stay a while and listen. Is not going to connect with anybody there from Blue Beetle, but Tempo Storm down a man and about to be down a 20-tier advantage. Miracle pretty much get to select what objective they would like to take from this point on.
They're just making the safe rotations, getting that experience. They see the weighted XP in that tower. That tower goes down, 20 is picked up. Now you have the threat of 20 with exposed keeps. You can move forward, get some of these lanes. Vin getting targeted there with the top lane being the next one. Dreadnought, you'd love to have that off lane catapult pressure. Miracle, they've got their eye on this bottom lane for now, but nice clear. The Tassadar with that Psionic Echo able to clear up a lot by himself. So Miracle, they'll just start to rotate out as Illidan 5 seconds away from spawning.
Miracle did easy work here over this middle keep. And as you said, Tempo Storm, without that 20, this is unlike the last situation where you want to take that risky fight and things are like you're down so much and you're so close to your core. You know, if you fail that fight, you pretty much lose the game there, but it is going to be a grim picture even when looking at the next Shrine phase here for Tempo Storm. It's a tough moment here for North America.
That bottom camp will be spawning soon. Tempo Storm might look to take that camp with the Illidan pressure and really push down that bottom lane. And as much as Miracle wants to respond, or how they choose to respond will be interesting. I think Tempo Storm would have loved to make a play around that, but they don't have enough vision. They're down that 20 talent tier. They've got to find an advantage somewhere. I thought it might have been through that camp, but Maev up in that top lane, just kind of casually hanging out, doesn't have to push that experience back out towards their opponent.
And something we already saw a little bit here in this game is the bullseye pickup from Hanzo, or from Frankel there, to be able to get the stun on the Tassadar. I've been talking about how important this dimensional shift is. I do wonder if he's going to find opportunities to be able to hit the Tassadar and force that early, where Hanzo normally would not be able to do so. And a lot of people go, well, why would you want that 1 second stun and things alike? If you get that at the competitive level, when that cooldown's down, you have a follow-up, and that is named Dragon's Arrow. That thing is going to set the squad up very, very well. So Tempo has to tread so very lightly here over the next few minutes, or this very much could be Miracle's game.
I think you bring up a good point. I mean, Tassadar, it's not like you A-move with Tassadar. It's like, look, I got to stand still if I'm going to get some auto-attack damage out. Tempo Storm, Dreadnought, they have made their way towards that bottom with that Illidan. He's going to push forward. Tempo Storm, though, they can't afford to give the keep up before the Punisher gets here. So they're going to use that Illidan, get that pressure in that bottom lane, get some siege damage down. They get the fort that gives them the close to 20. But they're desperate right now to have that 20-tier advantage. No matter what, Dreadnought, that keep is exposed, and there's nowhere you bait that too, because that middle keep is already down.
31 here of the Skeletal Defenders. And as we talked about, 20 will be picked up thanks to Glaurung here. The question really is can Tempo defend this Punisher? It's a tough one with how much follow-up we have. Talking about Frankel with the stay a while and listen. Garrosh is not too shabby himself with the Groundbreaker. Sidewall still going to be a focus here, likely for Miracle. Nope, Chuck Testa, no sidewall available. Heck, no even front gate available.
Well, here we go. Miracle, they're looking to end the game right now. Tempo Storm just picked up 20. Punisher moving forward, as is Sniper on that. See if they can get the follow-up. Hyperion out in response. Keep starting to take damage as Miracle turns their attention directly towards that. Once that goes down, that Punisher and team will move forward, but the Punisher already down to 60%. See if Miracle can close it out.
Yeah, lead coming up in a few as well. Tempo's got to tread lightly there. Cattle able to make it out. Hunt now on the backline there from Glaring, but he quickly realizes that might be high-risk, low-reward situation. Now backing out, but the Punisher making its way to the keep, looking towards those shields. Cattle for now is the focus for Nacho Jin. Fan trying to do his best. Lunar Flare comes out. There is the Starfall. Judy and friends back out for a moment. Nacho Jin falling extremely low, J-House.
Ancient Blessings pop to try and stay alive. They need to turn to get some autos. There's going to be the taunt. Judy on the front line somehow surviving. The Dragon Arrow in return. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Warden's cage is down. This is chaos right now. But Miracle low. They're trying to run away from this Illidan composition. And right now they have managed to retreat. But Sniper says, hold on, I'm not done yet. Goes back in, Dread.
If Glau ends up getting one of these kills, he might be able to clean up the rest of the team. But look at that two-man flip out from Judy. And he quickly says, no, Tempo Storm. That was all calculated here. Tempo now down 3 members, a 4th, and about to be, I was going to say a 5th. This fan actually gets the outplay for a second there on Frankel, but it is not going to matter. Shielding already gone. Miracle walk up here and take a very controlled and calculated game number 1 over Tempo Storm.
It's kind of weird, Dreadnought, because Miracle won. They were in control the entire game, but somehow Tempo Storm had a fight at the end. But then I look up and it's 18 kills to 4 to 6, actually. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, that should have maybe been a little easier. Maybe I'm being skeptical here, but Miracle played such a controlled pace.
And I think what I would like to say is an answer to that, why did that come across that way, is very much like I used to talk about Zeratos. It's a lose-less composition. Tempo Storm, the whole time, was actually out of control of that game. Though in many situations, it looked like they had moments where it's like, here's an even Palantir fight, but they took it, realized they were losing it, backing out, and then go back to playing passive and just not losing in experience. But if you were to go and truly ask how many moments was Tempo Storm really competitive in that game, I'd be willing to argue 95% of the time. It was just, what is Miracle gonna do, because we have to respond to them.
They were really good, a lot of controlled pace there. We're gonna send it back over to the panel so they can break that game down in more detail for you.
You know, I'm such a fan of Judy, and for good reason. Is Garrosh 10-0 in league play in part 2, undefeated. And if there's 2 things I love about him, it's that, I said this before, he creates a ton of space for the backliners, and he loves his aggressive into the frays. Good grief, he loves to throw his teammates into the fray.
And just talking to some of the Korean players about it, it's kind of like, the sentiment is he doesn't know that it was not meant to be used that way. Like, it was not actually designed to be used to toss your teammates into, into battle and to fight others.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in Korea, Judy was a weak link tank for a long time because his hero pool was so small. And everyone always banned Garrosh against him because they respected his Garrosh at least. But in this tournament internationally, just allowing him to have it feels like a mistake, as we've seen in multiple moments in this game.
Yeah, and for Tempo Storm, we saw some adjustments there, bringing in the Tassadar Rainer, even switching Vin and Fan, which is not something that I was expecting, especially since Vin has played a lot of Rainer. I feel like his penetrating rounds are really good at being able to peel for his teammates while having good positioning, but having Fan play that instead more of the hyper carry, and then another carry, having Glaurung's Illidan come back, it just didn't quite work out for them.
Yeah, that was my main concern in the draft. I was saying, look, I don't want to see that Illidan come across based on how many threats there are for him to actually go up against. And it was such a scary proposition. You don't have the Medivh for that shield. You have a Tassadar, which you're relying on very heavily to give that burst mitigation. It's not always prevalent. They have a composition that wants to force those fights, has the ability to definitely siege, but you're up against a Garrosh that can do one of 2 things. He's fantastic at anti-siege, but he's also fantastic at shutting people down there, Wolf.
Certainly so. I have a little replay here just to kind of highlight this fight that happens pre-20. So if you look at the scenario here, Miracle's made a pretty risky decision. They don't have 20 yet, so they're going to take a fight against Tempo Storm on even talent tiers. This is an excellent opportunity for Tempo Storm to get back into the game if they can win this fight. Not only that, but if you take a quick look down here, you can see Glaurung is unscouted. They don't know where he is at the moment. So he's in a position where he could potentially get into the back line. Now, when we roll this forward, you can see that as the invade fails, everyone backs off from Team Miracle. So they give the camp up. Cattle in perfect position, right? But now you're going to see Glaurung attempt to dive the backline here with this Illidan all game long, trying to kill Frankel, getting stunned, getting slowed by Blue Beetle, just really, really struggling to make a big impact in these fights. And you could see how they actually are able to zone Vin out. Notice Vin is in a really bad spot here. He's completely cut off. Glaurung's trying to get in. He needs support. He needs the support from Vin. Tyrande has decent heals, but it's not burst heals, it's more sustain, those double heals you're going to get. So Vin's struggling to get in here to save Glaurung. So as we roll it forward really slowly here, you're going to see the stuns come through for Glaurung. Vin is trying to get in here, but he just can't. The taunts come in. Look at the stun here. They actually even commit a big arrow down to stun him just to further prevent him from getting into this position to heal Glaurung. Glaurung needed to live a little bit longer for Cattle to come in here and for the rest of the team to actually get that consistent damage going. He can soak up a lot of that damage as Illidan if he's healed correctly. Fan can come in. Look at how low everyone's getting over here on the side of Miracle, but Vin just wasn't in the right spot. Had he been coming around this angle, it was at the better spot, not trying to flank as Tassadar almost, then he would have been able to help out a lot. I think it's kind of a DPS mindset sort of move here to actually be flanking with Glaurung rather than being in a safer spot to have guaranteed shields, and that costs them big. If we roll this forward, you can obviously see the fight does not go their way. Blue Beetle tosses down a stay a while listen just to guarantee no one else can dive in further, and they don't get the cap, but they end up trading up. The cap becomes worthless at the end of the day.
Yeah, maybe a further consideration for Tempo Storm when they start to look at who is playing what. Yes, they are very flexible players, but making sure that people, especially like Vin, when they're in these high-pressure situations, are on their most comfortable heroes is maybe something to consider going forward. But really, it's just Miracle played that excellently and a good understanding.
I mean, another takeaway from that point there, Gilly, has to be the fact that they took that fight pre-20. So many teams do not want to force a fight pre-20. They made it happen. They're like, look, we want to be aggressive. And I think it really is a testament to how confident they are coming into the series. Look, hey, we want this 2-0. We are the team to watch out for. Yes, we have this track record up against Gen G. Are we this team that are going to ruin this narrative between Gen G and Dignitas?
And
yeah, they took a risk and it paid off.
And they're up six structures. Like, there's 6 structures to 3, basically. So if you end up losing this fight and you totally fall apart, it's not like you're going to lose the game. But if you win it, you win the game. You get 20. You kill that keep. So I think it's absolutely a decent risk. Even if you lose, sure, Tempo gets kind of back into the game, but you're not going to lose the game over that moment.
Yeah, well, we are going to have game 2 right after a quick word from our sponsors.
There. T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
Tempo Storm's Battleground now on deck. We'll see where they want to take us as Miracle chose Infernal Shrine, somewhere that Tempo Storm in the past maybe not has felt as confident, but has more recently been okay to play on.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the point you bring up once again before about the Cursed Hollow adaptation. It's a macro map. It's a map that we've seen, Tempo Storm be quite comfortable to play if they need to, and run some interesting, quirky strats. We saw the Lucio. We sort of, hey, Gen G, we're going to try and, play this game of Cluedo, and where are we? Are we pushing your keep? What are we doing, right? So they're like, we don't want no shenanigans. It's almost a case of like, hey, we'd much rather you play Braxis. Yeah, we just don't want to verse that Cursed Hollow, geez.
Well, talking about quirky strats in the last game, not that it was that quirky, especially for Nacho, but, you were thinking about it. The Sonya and Nacho Jin being able to bring in that kind of old play, that old hero. Nacho Jin is also kind of seen as maybe a big reason why they're able to get consistent victories over Gen G, because his old teammate that he won BlizzCon with in 2016, Noblesse, coaching Gen G now. Do you feel like that's a big reason for the success, or is it something else?
I mean, I think that, Noblesse is a player that's really helped level up Gen G, and, Nacho Jin's had his moments of success. He's been a champion, right? But he also thinks outside the box in a lot of ways, and I think he's a very intelligent player. He was not originally a melee, for those who remember. He was a ranged flex, and he was a Falstad main, basically, and ended up being a split pusher. So for him to play Sonya, it's a similar idea in terms of the top lane, right? And it's such a bad matchup for Illidan. In the past, though, when you're Sonya versus Illidan, back in 2015, 2016, you always had an engagement tank to back you up, so like a Muradin or an ETC or an Anubarak. So when you're losing that matchup, there's a gank. But when and you're 5th pick Sonya, they have Arthas as their main tank. They've shown the Illidan, so it's not offlane Arthas. You know that you're always going to be safe. Like, there's no Muradin to come get you, and they got so much value out of that.
Well, let's see where Tempo Storm wants to take us for game 2, and their best shot at being able to tie up with Miracle. They're going to pick Sky Temple. Now this is especially curious because throughout part 2, Tempo Storm was banning Sky Temple. He thinks a strategy is afoot.
This really has to be a case of I'm personally betting on the idea that we're going to see a lot of Abathur. The interaction that an Abathur has to be a priority. Sure, Medivh will still be a big focal point for me, but I feel like this is along the same stretch lines, Wolfoff. We want that curse lock, we want that macro pressure, we want to try and split you up because predominantly Miracle are a fantastic team fighting team. Not the best on macro. Can we try and split them apart? Can we try and find some advantages in other lanes? And then at the end of the day, when it does come to these temples themselves, we can both try and give it a roll for that team fight skirmish.
A lot of their won games in league play were actually won by late game team fights where they were down multiple keeps. They lost the macro battle. They lost control of this map multiple times, BOE as well. They take that late game team fight. But when you think about average game length, this is one of the fastest maps, generally speaking. You can win this map really quick with a decisive play that gets you 10, that gets you boss, that gets you control of the temples. So I think it's a smart choice. Miracle was always known for their early game in 2017, early 2018, but now it's like macro doesn't give those edges for them anymore. So it may just be Tempo trying to play standard, win that first fight, get that boss play, and try to snowball this. Take a win, steal a win even, away from Miracle here.
Tempo played a very good Sky Temple game versus Heroes Hearth Esports, where Heroes Hearth didn't respect how hard they pushed the top lane with the bruisers at the beginning. They got far more structural damage done than they should have gotten done. That may be something that they're looking for, since we've already seen this strategy before with the new Barak and the Greymane. A lot of structure pressure, a lot of camp pressure early on to try to get that snowball.
Yeah, and they take away the Abathur once again, and they take away the Uther. They're quite happy to leave that Medivh through, and Medivh is a pick that's going to definitely fall on through in this draft. Miracle not known for their Medivh play, so Temperstorm quite happy with this opening.
And I don't know that they're super happy with that, because both Junkrat and Garrosh, pretty good anti-siege.
And insanely good boss control as well. Once you get the Warlord's Challenge, you've got the Concussive Mind to knock members away. Sure, Anubrak's very good at engaging in that boss pit, but if you're going to try to snowball this game, if you're going to try to win it early, then that boss control is your absolute prime place to put all your kind of cards for this draft. And Blaze ban, you're intelligent. Here's the Lucio ban coming out as well here. A bit of a June special there.
But it rings bells once again to what we saw on Cursed Hollow, right? They had this composition with the Lucio looking to speed boost around, and it's a case of, hey, if you go for that temple, aka a boss on Cursed Hollow, we're going to try and get that split push. We're going to try and do some damage. So I respect it.
It's such good research to recognize that Lucio enables those faster rotations, and then Global will still be able to help with that macro pressure, adding in Glaurung's Dahaka, and we get the Tassadar again. Still waiting to see what that last pick will be. You would think it would be a support.
Yeah, well, you would think so. Abathur's banned, so we're not going to see any Tassadar Abathur or anything crazy like that. But let's see what Miracle wants to bring as their mainline DPS. Phoenix is still available. I think he's pretty safe here. And they're actually going to go with Li Ming. So one of Frankel's best heroes. I think this is more of a comfort pick than perhaps what most would consider the best meta pick. And June's going to bring out the Alex Strasza. Very good at escaping, very good at pushing objectives. If you can even use it to the Dragon Queen to force a fight as you're trying to push a fort or a shrine.
Yeah, both teams have played Alex Strasza in part 2 on this map, but for that it gives some, temple control, now some boss control with the wing buffet knocking people back. But it's unusual to see Alex Strasza outside of Infernal Shrines.
Well, that was going to be my main point there. You're not going to go for a Fausta because you need that extra supporting capabilities. Medivh doesn't really feel too nice, especially when you got the Tesla already. And as you mentioned, it's kind of like that mini Fausta Gust, right? So you have that point control. Because if you're looking at what Miracle have so far, there is no hope that you're actually ever going to get on there to try and get that cap.
All right, well, I know someone who will be very excited to see that Alex Strasza, and that's Dreadnought, and he's with Jayhow for Game 2.
We both know that's not a true statement. Alex Strasza, a little bit difficult for me to get behind sometimes, but I will say, I think this is one of the more creative iterations of the Alex Strasza we've seen, because we know Temple wants to siege up. Alex Strasza actually has some of the best, with the abundance, just sieging capabilities in the earlier stages, but there are a lot of tools to be able to deal with it on the side of Miracle.
I think a lot of it came down to, it looks like Miracle did their research. One of the best counters to this was the Junkrat, and they mentioned the Garrosh as well, to say, hey, walk up to our gate, we'll send you over right where you want to be. So we'll see how that happens. Glaurung's going to be on that Dahaka this game, but Fan and Caterpillar, that's going to be the rotating comp that we're going to see the most of, while Vin will take care of that off lane with some of those Psy Storms, trying to get that stacked up and keep the lane clear so you can find advantages elsewhere.
Yep, and up for Miracle. Sniper there on that Junkrat. We got Frankel playing that Li Ming, looking for resets. Nacho Jin slowing down the retreat of Tempo Storm in those rotations. Blue Beetle onto Ronda, and Judy there onto the Garrosh. But one thing also with the Alexstrasza, diving a little bit deeper into that she does do in this situation is Tempo Storm with this composition and Nubarak, Greymane, offlane split pushing. As long as you get a little, as long as it's going to plan even a small fraction, you normally are at least half of structure or major objective ahead in shots when you see about the 13 to 16 range in the next Shrine phase spawning. And what she can do, due to that Dragon Queen, is really threat off some of those independently up by herself in that Dragon Queen form and get those shots. And normally that doesn't matter that much. You always go, well, you have to win a team fight at some point in time. But if she can keep that up long enough and successful enough in that mid to late game, that's suddenly a, hey, these shots are on your core and we're too far ahead structurally for Miracle to ever recover.
I want to highlight what we saw there from Junkrat in that bottom lane when we got the first look. That trap was behind the gate. He didn't put down a concussion mine yet. You can see it right there. That's because if there was that 3 to 4 man approach in that bottom lane, then he was going to try and find an angle to hit that concussion mine directly over into that. So this is a very calculated anti-siege capability that we're seeing from Miracle. You're going to see that throughout the game. Once he started to move out into the lane, he puts that concussion mine and lives on that concussion mine to avoid any type of dive. So just the early game strategies from Miracle already seem like a very well thought out, well researched process against this style of play for Tempo Storm.
And it worked out last time with the amount of research that it seemed like they were able to put in. We see Brushstock actually coming out from Glaharong onto the bottom half there. That's just going to be used early, just making sure that's available over the next Shrine phase whenever it's going to be coming up here for the team. And in the downtime, Tempo Storm looking towards an early night camp. This is where we expect that top lane pressure, that top lane siege.
And that's what kind of, look, how do you achieve making sure to grab all of your soak while also finding the advantage in that lane? The minute Dahaka showed, you could watch the mini-map. Miracle's like, well, the best way we can respond is to just get our own and then we'll walk up to the gate, mitigate a lot of that damage in. And so the rotation from Miracle was instant, it's quick, it's responsive. I'm telling you, Miracle has done their homework, Dread. It's a very good start for Miracle and Tempo Storm. They've got a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, it's so much so that I would like to see Tempo maybe mix things up here with the rotations. Instead of sieging up in the top half on a very predictable rotation from Miracle that they're all set up and ready to deal with right now, maybe rotate mid, get free pressure there, and then back out afterwards and deal with the night camp. But instead, going with the, I mean, this is textbook, right?
Yeah,
for better or for worse, it is textbook. And right now, Miracle is just going, all right, well, if that's all you got, like, we've got the answer. So Tempo Storm, blank, change something up here. Nacho Jin with the collapse.
Nacho Jin coming in. There's going to be the dive back for the peel, but now Caterpillar has no escape option. Cattle trying to stay alive, and very well played there by Miracle again, Dreadnought. Tempo did not even get a tower down. I hate to be so critical about this, but as you said, it has been too textbook to where it's predictable at this point.
And I think the reason it's so kind of maybe frustrating at moments is just the, not necessarily that it happens at moments in games here for Tempo Storm, but we're looking at a large sample size at this point of a very rinse and repeat approach to these techniques. And it seems that it's very clear that some of these teams are able to handle this very, very well, especially those of the Korean region. So I thought we would see a bit more mix-up maybe from them, but not going to be the case here. Shrines, though, have spawned. We have the temples up. Arth is going to be picking up top lane for Miracle, whereas we see Tempo contesting over mid.
Yeah, they have that Dahaka to get that off-lane pressure to continue to get that soak. For a Li Ming, you have to make your rotation up a little earlier. So right now, Judy and team, they're going to continue to threat, see if they can stall this. If you look at the bars at the bottom right of your screen, you can see that top temple almost completely channeled. The bottom, or in the middle there, you can see that every time Judy walks forward, it neutralizes it. It doesn't go anywhere. So that means that Arthas rotation can come down. Li Ming will take care of that bottom lane. Once Arthas starts to make his way down, look for Li Ming to make his way up. But Dahaka going to be the first here to try and force them off. We're about to have a team fight, but 7 talent tier advantage in favor of Miracle.
But the Arthas Greymane matchup, Arthas actually losing a little bit there when it came to the 1-versus-1 rotation down. Glaring with a nice burrow there, able to dodge Blue Beetle's Lunar Flare. 4 versus 4 over the mid lane. Drag not going to be landing there as Frankel with a nice teleport out. For now, Tempo Storm controlling the shots, but we got to keep track of that eye. We see that flank down from Nacho Jin. Once he finishes this, expect a collapse.
There's the concussion mine. Actually forces out the dimensional shift of Vin. The drag will land on the backside onto that Arthas. There's just no threat. Tacit are way too weak in the early game. Greymane wants to get his damage Dreadnought in that Worgen form, and when you have an Arthas that slows your auto attacks and a Garrosh that can toss you back in, I mean, it's tough prospect to try and take advantage of this composition when it's a raw 5-on-5 this early in the game.
Yeah, and it's even kind of tougher when I think we look longer down the road, mainly because, Jay, I was just talking about how when this composition is going anywhere near right for you in the early stages, how when we get to these mid-game plays, you normally are at least structurally ahead. That is not a true statement right now for Tempo Storm after our first Shrine phase. Miracle has won when it came to structure damage on the top half of the battleground. They've done well when it came to a majority of the shots over mid, and they're winning in experience. So right now, it is a perfect game here for Miracle as the Lunar Flare anti-siege comes through. Fan, not going to live long here over on the wrong side of that wall.
Dread, this Miracle team is beyond impressive. Nice use of that burrow charge out by Kata will buy him enough time to get out of there because the root was coming. But a nice rotation again. Those night camps will be available soon again for these teams to try and play around. You have that full level lead for Miracle, so it could be an opportunity for Miracle now, Dreadnought, to start to snowball this a little in their favor, because what can happen when they get this, there's going to be a decent chunk of XP towards that 10 push. Tempo Storm will likely try and push one of the off lanes, but they'll have to give up basically the entirety or near the entirety of that temple unless something drastic happens here soon. So Miracle in a commanding lead right now in this early game.
And they aren't in a position to maybe go for the starting of the boss at bout at this time frame if they want to have the 10 spike over Tempo Storm when it comes to that. But Tempo Storm has so much siege on the bottom half, unlikely to be able to make that happen, even more so knowing that Temple phase is up here. Now the question is, what is Temple going to do? They cannot contest the beginning half of this shrine for some time. And look at this, Miracle. They're even willing to take a late start on the boss. This, ladies and gentlemen, is confidence if I have ever seen it.
Well, they're going to make it happen. Tempo Storm will respond with a push mid. That will warrant a response. The wall is down. We've seen this before with an overcommitment previously on this map from a team with a similar strategy. Nice raw stun comes in there from Blue Beetle. The minions are down. Tempo Storm will have to see their way out as they are rounding 10, but not quick enough as that boss picked up, and that bottom temple will be firing on that bottom lane, allowing that boss to push through even quicker.
Only going to be helping the transfer of the shots over to the middle fort, which does have a majority of its front wall, so it's not going to be a double fort play. I don't think that boss is going to get enough damage out for Miracle, but if it is, that's a huge loss when it comes to vision and control of the battleground. Being down 3 forts this early on, if you are Tempo Storm, is a, again, major setback, and even more so considering the composition and the approach going into it.
Arthas might have overstayed. You might actually get a cocoon on that. I was going to say, It's one thing to keep somebody on the point. It just kind of depends on how far away the enemy team was. You want to have somebody with mobility on that point. Nacho Jin is everything but mobility when you're on that Arthas, but now everybody's made the rotation down. Judy gets the groundbreaker in. Cattle comes in for support by using that burrow charge. Won't have that stun available momentarily as Tempo Storm. They're still questioning on can they move in. The answer is no.
It should be noted that we actually have the adaptation coming out from Glaurung, trying to be a bit more of a tank here throughout this game, rather than the silence and isolation play that has become oh so meta here since pretty much the Nerfs 2 adaptation. I think it will be really effective because then they do not have to worry so much about the focus going into the Greymane if Glaurung can actually draw that aggro, but I think that is the kind of parameter that is very important to highlight. He needs to be able to draw that aggro, and I mean that is not just being a focus. He has to be able to win trades at some point to some backliner, and I got to be thinking that's Franco there on the Li Ming that he's going to be looking towards.
Well, if you're a Tempo Storm fan, there is one silver lining now because look, despite those 2 kills, despite the losses on the temples, those walls are starting to fall, Dreadnought. You have the Anubrak. So once those walls fall, you kind of have an open opportunity to where you can force the fight. It's just a matter of, is Miracle willing to fight under those forts? You have the spell armor from these knights. Judy and team, they're controlling vision so they can keep it on the rotation. So for Tempo Storm, not all hope is not lost. Don't get me wrong. It's just Miracle's done such a fantastic job in the early game that it's made it difficult. So Tempo Storm, they're way back into the game, Dreadnought. It becomes more and more limited with every advantage Miracle's picking up. Tempo Storm, we'll see what their answer is they're still waiting on that heroic from Alex Straza. Are we diving? It seems like that might be the case.
I feel like it has got to be the answer there, to get that all-in aggression and to get the diving capabilities here for Tempo Storm, get the Cleansing Flame, make sure that everybody like the Tassadar, the Greymane, and more importantly that Dahaka survive there, but it's not going to be the selection.
I find keep that priority target alive. Li Ming, we'll see if Li Ming allows that to happen. When there's that much amount of burst damage or even a Junkrat Riptire coming in, it always makes it tricky. Glaurung, the groundbreaker's hit, he's going to be flipped back in.
Adaptation popped already from him though, so we will get a little bit of heals as we see him get that and the abundance there. Concussion Mine has to be dodged. Taking a lot of damage there though from Frankel on the way out.
But the heals come in. Double temple phase, top, bottom. No boss contention available yet. But Anubrak gets tossed in. He gets instantly blown up by the Riptire. Getting caught, that is a very inopportune time. I was going to say Tempo Storm. You have the global advantage. Maybe force some rotations, force a fight. But now you're down 4 versus 5. This is very tricky as Miracle can basically walk anywhere on the map with true safety.
And that was Judy really doing a great job of manipulating vision and taking advantage of the predictable rotation that is made once those shrines are going to be spawning from Tempo Storm. Just sit right at the max range where they can't see you, predict, okay, I think they mounted up here after 6 seconds, we can probably get the initiation. I mean, how often do you see an Anubrak be the one who gets flipped in Groundbreaker before he can even burrow charge? And again, just all thanks to Judy there and his clever plays on the Garrosh for Miracle.
Well, Miracle, Dreadnought, they saw that opportunity. They moved forward. They got that mid-keep wall, started to get some down, knew the timing. That's what's impressed me so much is every time Miracle finds an advantage, their timing is so good. The snap rotations in defense, the snap rotations for offensive plays. You can see the scouting there with that Sentinel coming out. Everything was there, and then, hey, it's like, you know what? By this time, they should be back here. They have an easy disengage with almost no threat. Everything that Miracle's done has been so good.
It has been so very good here, and now this is an interesting situation we're in, Jay. How Tempo Storm, not only with the siege up on top, but we are only about 20 seconds away from the boss on the bottom half. Miracle will hit that 16 window before Tempo Storm in that time frame, and I can see them using that as a way to maintain control through the remainder of this game. But it is slightly risky. Tempo, that might be one of the chances for them to come back if they want to make that happen. But for now, they already have Nitrogen prepping those Giants, trying to demand some response here out from Tempo Storm.
You're 1 kill away, 1 team fight away if you're Tempo Storm from getting back into this game because the Gray Main, you find a small advantage, you get 2 to 3 members down, you can instantly siege with any part of this comp to get back into the game. Tempo Storm move forward. They don't have 16 yet, does Miracle, so they'll walk away, but Judy continuing to harass Tempo Storm. These Groundbreakers are insane.
They are very, very good here, and I actually really find the rotation coming out from Miracle interesting there. The decision-making to not commit to the Night Camp, have Nitrogen actually get the full back, and then now work on the Knights himself there. I thought that they might look for the early Knights or contest the Giants and pick up the Knights themselves and have them just drive by, pick it up, right, and then go into the boss play. Because they aren't as proactive, I don't think they have that window anymore. That being said, I said that before, and they very confidently were like, you know what, 30 seconds later than what I expected was necessary, we got this, no problem.
Double Temple, moments away. They need 16. Does Tempo Storm to take a fair team fight right now? It seems like with that vision control, Miracle in a very good position. Stun's gonna miss there onto the Anubrak. Knights available. You can see Judy and team moving over into position. See if they get this steal. Looks like they're coming in to take just that before 16. Glaurung doing his best, Dreadnought, to soak that up so that Tempo Storm can maybe, hopefully, find that one fight to get back into this game.
It feels like it's going to be this one, the 16 into 17, and at some point here for Tempo Storm, they have to get the brush stock play available. This is actually a really bold and, again, confident move coming out from Miracle to get this pressure siege with the double camp on top. It's better enabling what is going to be that top altar for them, but not picking up those shots for free mean that Tempo has an opportunity to contest double camp. I don't think Tempo should be initiating into this wave. Cattle gonna receive some pressure as we see Glaurung with the brush stock onto the backline. Nacho Jin just fine and comfortable. Both of the Wizards still alive, giving that armor. Glaurung gets the adaptation heal coming through, and Tempo looks to be pushing back Miracle here.
The drag lands, that might be enough. That's gonna be kill number 1. Li Ming not able to get out. That's exactly what Tempo Storm needed. Dread, that was one of the riskiest team fights I've seen all day. I mean, Cattle's like, spell armor, no problem. Burrow charge, I'm using it offensively. They came in, they got that 1 kill. It's a little, it's not a lot yet. They still have a lot to do, but that is a very positive sign for them.
But the combo comes through. June out too far, too confident, and Judy, much like last game, go Tempo. Do you have a silver lining? Do you have a moment of hope? Let me quick crush that to the ground.
Dread at Tempo Storm, we saw it yesterday. We're seeing it again today. The Garrosh seems to be, I don't know how these flips have happened so often, but Tempo Storm has to ask themselves, they've got to judge the distance. It's making it difficult whenever that one person gets picked. That's what a Garrosh does.
It is, and Judy is about the best, it feels like, at doing what Garrosh does best. He is very, very effective within the hero, and as we heard on the panel earlier, that this is not a player that a lot of the Korean teams look at and say, when you look at the entirety of his career, you go, that's a monster. That's got to be a guy that can perform here at this level of play at the HGC finals, but he has been able to really grow over the years with this transition over to Miracle, along with Blue Beetle here in the team, and it's now they sit here what's feel like moments away from closing out a 3-point victory onto Tempo Storm and having a near flawless group stage so far.
June is about 50 seconds away from having that Dragon Queen available. You have to imagine that Tempo Storm might start looking to get desperate around those boss calls, but you need the Dragon to really be able to accomplish that. Tempo Storm, see if they play around that window. Miracle, they're lurking down there, keeping an eye on things. 20 rounding the corner for Miracle. The top keep almost down on the side of Tempo Storm. The bottom keep almost down. Every small move right now, one more mistake, Tempo Storm, it's over. Miracle will win. Miracle, they've done so well at controlling this game. Doesn't take much more for them to end it.
And inversely, there is a moment here for Tempo Storm to maybe get a power play and start that boss out, especially if they can get the Shrine phase at the exact same time and get a threat onto them to try and make the members of Miracle split in 2 different decisions. And actually, they're going to try and do that onto Natojin down here onto the Giants. They get the drag, and they actually get the kill before the heal can come through. Now, Tempo Storm with a moment here to threaten that boss.
Tread straight up, though. Frankel just blinked out of the cocoon. God tier right there. Now that might be enough for him to stay in this fight. That could have been another kill. Tempo Storm, they have the advantage. 5 versus 4. They're going to force the boss fight. No 20 nearby. You see that concussion line down. Frankel on that backside looking to make plays. We'll see. Tempo Storm, they feel like they have to take this fight.
They feel like they have to as well, and now they're sitting 30 seconds out, but Frankel being able to make it rain over the wall there. Arcane orbs, all the missiles coming through. That scared Tempo Storm for a moment, buying them a bit of seconds. Glarung here is the man with the aggro onto the boss. There is a nice impale attempt here. Judy with the groundbreaker, stopping Cattle from threatening out. Now 7 seconds. That's going to be 10 before Natojin is actually back with Miracle here. Tempo Storm, this is a power moment for them. They have to get something here, J-How, if they're going to stand a chance here in this game.
Well, Cocoon back available. See if they can make another play. Had Frankel got caught in that Cocoon, it might have been enough to get that double kill, but that play might have saved the game. Frankel just living on another level at this tournament so far. Tempo Storm moving forward on the Temple. Miracle, they now have 20. Look for them to re-engage. Fan, grab vision for now, but Judy and team, they say it doesn't matter. We're coming in. This is our Temple. See if Tempo Storm will respond. They still have enough structures, they can give it up, but they will be losing keeps at this stage.
Yeah, it was enough to be minimum top keep for sure. Got to be going down here with the shots. I don't think it's enough to secure the entirety of bottom keep. Tempo might have gotten enough shots here, but we are looking at a very late game Shrine, as it is going to have that final burst. We'll see if Tempo has any structures to call their own when it's all said and done, but we know no matter what, the boss is going to be a huge moment here.
Oh, the last shot. There's no more ground. Your back is against the wall. There's only one way to go, and that is forward for Tempo Storm. 20 picked up. Rewind available for Cattle. See if they can force their hand, force one of these fights. Everybody on Miracle, they're playing back. They're playing safe. We have to wait to see where's the next Temple phase. If it's double Temple phase, Miracle can make so much happen. If it's single, that's exactly what Tempo Storm wants, and that boss always lingering, Dreadnought.
Glarung almost with another Miracle drag there onto Frankel. We have to remember that that was the play that happened that got Tempo back into this game into a realistic circumstance. Yes, on the back foot, but
they might siege up with Infinite Archon.
I think
it's very conceivable they siege up with Archon right here to try and just push this down.
Let's see if they end up going for it here. Judy with the groundbreaker.
There it is. Archon's up, Dread. Tempo Storms are going for it. There's going to be stun number 1 on Judy. Judy continuing to move forward, trying to heal up. Gets the stun back. Keep goes down. Finn, it's about keeping that alive. He needs things to attack. Minions will be spawning in 1 second. There they are, and now they are on the core. Tempo Storm might be trying to take it right here with that Archon.
Every 30 seconds, Tempo Storm loses a power spike Miracle loses a defense spike here, and that's when Tempo needs to be threatening. Still 15 from the next. Judy getting the flip there onto Glard. That was actually an adaptation used.
Yeah,
that's a very early cooldown used there from Tempo Storm. If they want to try and keep this Archon siege, Finn still trying to keep that up. Dodges the groundbreaker, dodges the arcane orb, but uses that dimensional shift.
This is it. Double Temple phase. I don't think you can avoid the top bottom. You can see the positioning. Shield still holding for Miracle. Minions are up. The dragon is out. It might be time's up. Let's do this. Fan and team moving forward. Miracle trying to survive here. Starfall comes down in response. Fan and team need to go away, but Dahaka taking a lot of damage from that keep. The flip comes in. Right now, Ben in down on the backside, but Lifebiter keeps alive.
Cattle for now.
But Vin so very low on the back end, and keep in mind that those shots on bottom and on top are going to end the game for Miracle. Tempo has to take the fight,
no.
but they end up losing Fan here. Dimensional Shift is not going to keep Vin alive much longer. Nice shield coming out there to stop the reset from Frankel, but he is not done yet. Abundance though, the bait, the turnaround. Tempo is able to get the 1-for-1 here. Natsu-Jin now just joining the team, throws down the Howling Blast.
Battle continues here. Cattle there trying to go in, but that's going to be a second member to Haka Falls. The root comes in. Cattle just re-engages. It's a 2 versus 2. Vin trying to stay alive, but he will be the next to fall. That is 4 members down on Tempo Storm. The catapults have already done some damage, so Miracle will move forward, and they have taken this series 2-0.
Tempo Storm taking a moment to do a Miracle siege, if you will, against the base of Miracle, but it was just too far behind at that point in time. I can understand the decision making. It was a very dire circumstance here, but when it's all said and done, Miracle showing why they are a rising team here at the HGC Finals and look to clean up 3 points and again have a near flawless group stage.
Judy just is